A 16-year-old shot, takes himself to the hospital, then dies from his injuries. Fox 45 News takes a look at another teenage victim here in Baltimore City. And are there enough police officers to actually keep the city safe? The continued concerns over Baltimore's police staffing shortage and how it could impact the new youth safety plan.
Waking up to some rain showers through the area and more rain on the way later this afternoon. We'll break it down in your Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. It is Saturday. It's a great Saturday. April 15th here. I'm Taylor Stewart. And we are getting off with a good look at your forecast here. We got meteorologist Justin Chambers here in studio with us. Good morning, Justin.
Yeah, good morning, Taylor. We did see some rain showers over the last couple of hours, so you're waking up a bit wet here on your Saturday morning. The cloud cover out there right now, just a few moments ago, the sun did poke through, and you can kind of see a little bit of that morning glow right there underneath those clouds in Towson. This is what the HD radar looks like right now. Most of the rain continues to track up into Pennsylvania. A couple of scattered showers here and there. Obviously, a lot of cloud cover around there as well, but a wider picture shows us that we're getting a break from the rain, at least right now. This really happened in the overnight hours and earlier this morning. So our temperature is pretty mild, too, with the low cloud cover. Low to mid 60s is what we're looking at across central Maryland at this hour. So weather story looks like this. A muggy morning. We'll see off and on showers for the afternoon, and we do have the potential of a few thunderstorms as well. Temperatures today, not the 80s, but we are going to see the 70s, so it will still be more of the warm side with the muggy conditions out there. And on your yard and garden cast, good to see some of that rain with temperatures in the 70s later this afternoon. Back with your full forecast. We'll do that in just a few minutes from right now.
In a city in crisis, Fox 45 News is continuing to press city leaders on Baltimore's relentless violence. 16 people have been killed this month. That's more than one murder each day. 8 people were killed in the last week, including a 25-year-old just after midnight in East Baltimore on Friday. We are learning more about that 16-year-old who was killed Monday near Mondawmin Mall. Fox 45's Keith Daniels has been following that story and joins us with an update.
We're learning more tonight about the 16-year-old boy shot and killed this week. Police say his name is Cameron Murphy, a teen, school age. But a spokesperson with Baltimore City Public Schools says Murphy has not been enrolled in city schools since August 2022. School officials did not say what grade he was or what school he attended. Murphy gunned down Monday on Longwood Street near Mondawmin Avenue. A neighbor heard gunshots, then saw 2 males running by her home, another one walking behind, believed to be Murphy, who spoke.
Yes, one said, I've been hit. He had his hand here. So I don't know, he was walking up, so it had to be on this side. Yes, he had his hand here.
Police responded to a hospital where they say Murphy was a walk-in shooting victim. He was pronounced dead later. Murphy is among the 8 people killed this week. Baltimore police say there have been 78 homicides so far in the city this year, compared to 95 at this time last year. That's nearly an 18% decrease between this point in time in 2022 versus 2023. The numbers, police say, trending in the right direction, but still on par with previous years when over 300 residents were killed. And for some residents,
nowadays, these kids got more guns than the adults that can legally get them.
That decrease in the number of homicides is little comfort, especially when more and more gun violence across the city involves juveniles as victims and suspects. Some people in the city this week, in front of our mic, stepped up and spoke out. One resident aimed at parents as a source of the problem.
You're failing your child, and you're doing a disservice to the citizens of Baltimore City as a result of you failing your child. Because your child feel like they can go out here and do what they want with no consequences.
The frustration over gun crimes also spilling into City Hall this week, where Councilman Robert Stokes called on all area law enforcement agencies to work together to help curb the violence.
I'm a council person, but I live in the city. I want to be safe like everybody else.
Now, Baltimore police are sharing this picture of a person possibly connected to a man's death at the Shot Tower subway station this past week. Now, police aren't calling him a suspect or a person of interest, but they need your help finding him. It's 28-year-old Christopher Foster. He was pushed off the platform onto the subway track on Wednesday. He was electrocuted when he hit that third rail, and now his mother is demanding accountability for his death.
I was so angry that someone played God with my son's life. I want to see that person be caught and be accountable for his actions. I want to see him pay for what he did.
All right, now taking one more look at this person. Police are trying to find him. We've shared this image on our website, which is on foxbaltimore.com. It's also on our social media platforms. Just go ahead and share it at Fox Baltimore. Now, as crime remains a top concern in Baltimore, the number of police officers is shrinking. Now, despite recruitment and retention efforts, the department is nearly 500 officers short. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor spoke to law enforcement experts about the mass exodus.
As crime continues to touch nearly every corner of the city. On Wednesday, a federal judge overseeing police reform in Baltimore calling the city's officer shortage a crisis. Despite increasing salaries to the highest in the state and boosting a slew of benefits, the department's vacancies dropping from 400 officers short to nearly 500 officers short over the last 8 months.
We can make sure we have good recruitment incentives, good retention incentives. And we have those. What we have to do is also make sure we have good working conditions.
According to Commissioner Michael Harrison, that includes retrofitting police stations, enhancing crime-fighting technologies, and putting officers in new cars. All improvements former Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson says miss the mark.
I think the biggest thing that's plaguing the recruitment effort in Baltimore is really the actions of the public officials themselves, failing to support the men and women of law enforcement.
According to Johnson, from the actions of city to state leaders, those pledging to protect our streets feel under attack. Last year, Maryland lawmakers stripping away officers' Bill of Rights, setting stricter rules for how police are investigated and disciplined, a measure then Governor Larry Hogan vetoed but was eventually overruled. And although she's no longer in office, Johnson says many officers still scarred by the 8-year tenure of former city state's attorney Marilyn Mosby, who reached national prominence for pursuing criminal charges against police.
It's going to be a very difficult and painful legacy for law enforcement in Baltimore to get beyond.
They are not pro-police.
Law enforcement expert Maury Richards agrees, saying the support officers are in search of isn't financial. And while a shortage of officers is a problem plaguing departments across the nation,
I've studied departments, big departments all across the country. And I would say Baltimore, in terms of shortage and in terms of morale, is about at the bottom of the country.
And so it has got to be turned around, or we really are going to run into a crisis, and it's not too far off.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Now, Mayor Brandon Scott says Baltimore will resume enforcing a youth curfew after 2 teens were shot Sunday at the Inner Harbor. Now, less than 4 days earlier, hundreds of young people gathered here, and you can see it caused a large disturbance. It was spring break for Baltimore City students. A couple of businesses had to close. Police patrolled the area to try to keep order. But some police experts feel the task of enforcing a curfew could put further strain on the department, who's already stretched thin.
And how can we police effectively? I don't think we're policing at our best when you are short-staffed. The criminal element is not stupid to the fact that it's taking us longer to respond. So with that said, they have the advantage of continually doing their criminal acts.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you believe a curfew will help reduce juvenile crime in Baltimore? So far, 95% of voters say no. You can head right now to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. City State's Attorney Ivan Bates is looking to enforce low-level crime. His plan to put these offenders on the right path in hopes of reducing violence.
Lots of cloud cover out there right now, and we're taking a break from the rain for now. We're tracking more showers and how that impact could be for your weekend. We'll take a look at that coming up in a few.
Turning now to counties under pressure. Anne Arundel County Police have released the name of the man shot and killed Thursday in Glen Burnie. He's identified as 26-year-old Brandon Williams. Now, officers do not currently have a suspect, but they believe this was a target attack. Anyone with any information should call Anne Arundel County Police.
How did such a young, low-ranking member of the National Guard have access to highly classified material? I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington with a look at the man at the center of this classified document leak scandal.
And the church says it's not allowed to reveal the redacted information, but the Attorney General claims he never told them that. The controversy, the Archdiocese child sex abuse case continues. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Jackie Tizera is the Massachusetts National Guard, making his first court appearance after he was arrested following the leak of classified military documents on social media. But there's still questions about how someone with such a low rank could have access to this high-level security clearance information. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the latest from Washington.
When authorities arrested 21-year-old Jack Teixeira for posting highly classified documents online, his age and rank surprising many.
How does a 21-year-old have the clearance for documents like he got?
Teixeira, a low-ranking member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, did IT work requiring top-secret security clearance due to the nature of the material on the system.
Is it usual for someone of Teixeira's age and rank to have access to this type of sensitive information?
What's not unusual, or what is usual, is for a young man, 18 or older, who's in the military to have a secret security clearance or higher.
Cully Stimson spent decades as a JAG officer. He says the leak highlights major issues.
Even if he did have a need to know that, how could he print it, fold it up, and walk out of the building without anyone knowing it and what security protocols are in place? Because you would have thought that after Snowden and after Chelsea Manning, we would have ratcheted down on these types of accesses.
Pentagon officials say they are reviewing and planning to tighten their classified intelligence policies. The FBI now receiving some criticism for the time it took to arrest Teixeira, since the public learned his identity from journalists first. National security expert Joshua School, who served 21 years in the FBI, says the feds likely knew who was responsible very quickly.
The media is not responsible for retaining evidence and then proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the person did that. Further, the FBI is never going to try and compete with the media, nor should they.
Teixeira will likely face additional charges along with the two announced in court on Friday. If convicted, he could face decades in prison. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
All righty. It's a cloudy morning for you. Let's get over to meteorologist Justin Chambers for a look at the cloudy forecast. Is it going to stay this cloudy all morning?
Yeah, we're going to see this, Taylor. We saw the rain earlier this morning. We're going to see more of that rain and even some thunderstorms possible later this afternoon. Definitely nice to see the rain with as dry as we've been. You can see this shot here from our Towson camera. The fog kind of left over those lower clouds, but those trees are nice and green and loving the fact that they got some rain from Mother Nature. Temps are mild, too. 64 your current temp in Towson as you're up with us on this Saturday morning. Taking a look at our HD radar, just a few showers right now. You can see those right in between Laurel and Severn, moving up from the south to the north. That's kind of the general direction of these showers that we've seen this morning. So the heaviest rain is up in York, PA right now and back into western Maryland at this time. Pull back a little bit farther and you can actually see a few more of those showers to the west as well, but not really much developing right now. It's going to take a few more hours before we start to see more of this activity start to get going. But we're definitely in the warm sector here. That's the warm front that is to the north of us and basically keeping those temperatures very mild. A lot of us are in the low to mid 60s across the mid-Atlantic through your Saturday morning. This is a look at our hourly future scan. So taking us through the noon hour, may get a break in the clouds, but overall just looking for an overcast day. The southerly wind picking up as we head toward the afternoon. By about 2, 3 o'clock, that's when our next chance for a few more of those pop-up showers. And again, with the fact that we've got kind of those warm temperatures out there, we do have the atmosphere, which can be a little bit unstable. So about 5, 6 p.m., could see a couple of thunderstorms, and don't be surprised if you hear a rumble of thunder by about 7, 8 o'clock tonight right along the 95 corridor as more of those storms start to move through here. But moving into Saturday evening and into Sunday, drier conditions will prevail, so we'll see a drier day for tomorrow. Mid-60s next hour if you're hanging out there at Fells, and overall our temps today still going to be pretty mild, lower 70s here through the noon hour, not the 80s that we've seen for the last couple of days. We'll top out in those mid-70s for your 3 and 4 o'clock hour this afternoon. And checking our temperatures area-wide, 60s is where we typically are this time of year. Low to mid-70s across central Maryland and up and down the 95 corridor. Even 78 in D.C. this afternoon. 65 down the ocean. 74 your temp in Philadelphia. All right, here's a look at your 7-day forecast here at home. Again, our temperatures are going to stay in the 70s today. Lower 80s tomorrow. We're going to see mainly dry conditions. The showers don't really come in until Sunday night into Monday morning, and then cooler temperatures and breezy conditions for next week. Watch those numbers go back down. Only 60s for your highs on Tuesday. Back to you.
Making headlines this morning, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown is disagreeing with a statement from the Baltimore Archdiocese. It's about that 500 report on child sex abuse in the church. The Archdiocese claims the AG's office asked them to keep the 10 names of the surviving clergy members redacted and that was ordered based on a court order. Brown says their statement's misleading. He says the Archdiocese is free to release those redacted names at any time. Brown says the Archdiocese has had access to the full report since November. This comes less than 2 weeks after Brown's scathing comments about cover-ups within the Archdiocese.
What was consistent throughout the stories was the absolute authority and power these abusive priests and the church leadership held over survivors, their families, and their communities. It's also a history of repeated cover-up of that abuse by the Catholic Church hierarchy.
The full AG report, including more than 600 counts of abuse, it's available right now for you to read at foxbaltimore.com. 3 members of a family in Shadyside were rushed to the hospital after being shocked by a live power line. Anne Arundel County firefighters tell Fox 45 News a ladder came into contact with the high voltage wires outside of a home near the intersection of Shadyside and Shady Rest roads. Maryland State Police and U.S. Park Police helicopters flew the electrical shock victims to an area hospital. Their conditions are not known at this time.
Divisions over arming teachers. I look into both sides of a debate that's been reignited after recent school shootings.
Recent shootings have reignited the debate over arming America's teachers. A Tennessee bill that would allow teachers to carry a concealed handgun on school grounds advanced following the Covenant school shooting. Now, that's just in one state, though. Research from Sinclair Broadcast Group determined these are the top 10 states for school shootings between 2015 and 2023. State law either does not allow teachers to carry or only under certain programs and conditions. Now, the following states had fewer shootings according to our research. While some might or do not allow teachers to carry, the vast majority of states you see here allow it with permission from the school and or school district. Dee Gatton with the National Desk joined us with both sides of this argument.
With lawmakers divided, some educators tell me their views and those of families personally impacted by gun violence should be taken into account.
In some sense, yeah, firearms at least can make individuals feel more safe. And then I'm also thinking, like, how liable am I if I am trying to take down a target and then accidentally kill one of my kids?
Cedarville University's Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Kevin Jones, spent years as an elementary school teacher and speaks to both positions on arming teachers in the classroom. When asked if he would be comfortable with that as a teacher today,
I don't know.
As families of those killed in school shootings continue to grieve, some have pushed for securing schools to keep our students safe.
There should be single point of entry into a building. Second, all doors need to be locked on campus. How could a shooter just run inside of a school? Third, we need armed guards. Why every school in America should have a police officer present.
As teachers in some states train for the worst, current and former lawmakers have never been more divided. Some arguing more guns means more death.
Gun violence kills more kids than anything else in the country. Like, what are we talking about?
If even 5% of teachers, people that are skilled with arms, we want that, 5% were voluntarily armed and trained to stop active shooters, we would achieve effective deterrence and the problem would cease to exist.
At least 28 states allow schools to arm teachers or staff in various situations as of January 2021, according to a RAND Corporation study. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Gatton.
Major staffing concerns within the Baltimore Police Department. The alarming numbers and why incentives do not seem to be working. And we're starting off with a cloudy, muggy Saturday morning, but can we expect a drier, warmer Sunday with highs in the 80s? I think so. Meteorologist Justin Chambers will track the next weather maker ahead in his full Weather Authority forecast. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh, good morning to you. I'm not even quite sure where that is because it's so cloudy out there, but we're going to start you off bright and sunny here on this April 15th here in studio. Thanks for being with us. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right over your forecast. Meteorologist Justin Chambers in on a weekend.
Good morning, Taylor. And we're starting off with that cloud cover. We had some of those rain showers earlier this morning. Some of you have seen a little bit of mist out there right now from our Towson camera, but a lot of us feeling the clouds, and pilots definitely in IFR type day out there, maybe some MVFR here and there, but we are seeing a few of those showers that are just to the south and west of Baltimore City right now, moving right up the 95 here, just to the north of Laurel. So a couple of stray showers there is about all we're seeing. But when you look at the larger picture, there's not a lot of rain. The rain kind of rolled through in the last couple of hours, and the heaviest rain is now well to the north of us on 83 up into parts of Pennsylvania. But we definitely had some lightning and some thunder that we heard in the overnight hours and earlier this morning. Still going to see those chances for storms this afternoon. Mild conditions statewide for the eastern shore, up and down the Chesapeake. Most of us are in the 60s, even in western Maryland, still hanging on to 60s this hour. So we'll keep those 60s going here as you rise and shine with us the next few hours, keeping those temperatures right in those mid to upper 60s on your Saturday morning. Today we'll top out at 75. Now tomorrow we are expecting more sunshine. We're warming right back up to the lower 80s, but look what happens on Monday. Those temps come down considerably with cooler air on the way next week. We'll take a closer look at that and how much rain we're looking at for later today as well, coming up in a few.
Right now, I think we're heading the right direction. Would I want to give it an A? I think we're at A-. And I have a lot of text messages from a number of individuals that, quote unquote, were in the game to say, oh, wow, you changed the game.
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates optimistic about Baltimore's future during Thursday's town hall. He has a plan called the citation docket, a new way to hold criminals accountable. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost moderated that town hall and explains Bates' new tool.
This new citation docket is a way to enforce these lower level offenses. It's a significant change from the policies of Marilyn Mosby and her administration. And new City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says it's a way to ensure there is accountability while providing the necessary resources to people in need. Baltimore's top prosecutor, Ivan Bates, out with a new plan to address quality of life concerns in the city, bringing people in for lower level offenses to get help.
This is about how can we hold people accountable? How can we deal with quality of life crimes? We're not trying to have mass incarceration. We're not trying to give people records.
Trespassing, loitering, open container violations, all things Bates will be enforcing, utilizing the new district court citation docket. Drug treatment and mental health services will be offered.
Let's also be clear. These individuals who we give the services to, but once, maybe twice, if you decide you just don't want the services, you just can't go back and do what you want to do, because eventually we're going to have to prosecute you.
Bates' plan now contrasts Marilyn Mosby's plans when she stopped prosecuting these crimes, making her pandemic-era prosecution policies permanent in March 2021. Doubling down on her move, claiming allowing quality-of-life crimes to go unchecked did not lead to higher crime.
I say follow the data, right? And so what we've been able to prove in the past year is that crime has decreased.
Critics of Mosby's plan have long argued those smaller crimes are directly linked to bigger offenses, often more violent crimes. Bates and new Baltimore City Sheriff Sam Cogan argue early intervention with some of these offenders could help change their path, but that often means interactions with law enforcement.
There are reasons why people are committing some of these crimes, and that's addiction and mental health. And one of the ways to get them treatment is if they're engaged constitutionally by a law enforcement officer and brought in front of the court. And some things like mental health court, that's exactly how you have to access that.
And that sentiment shared by Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger, pushing back on Mosby's plans when she rolled it out.
When you come to court, every judge asks, what is your underlying problem? And particularly in the area of drugs, they're going to ask if you have, obviously, an addiction problem. And then they're going to try to get you the help that you need to cure that problem.
The goal of the citation docket, getting involved with people when they break the law, providing the right services and giving them the chance to move forward with their life. But if those resources are not utilized, Bates makes it clear there will be accountability, all to ensure people are safe in their own communities. Bates says he's looking to have this new citation docket operational later this spring. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
If you would like to watch that full town hall, you can watch it this weekend. It'll air on the CW tonight at 5 o'clock and right here on Fox 45 at 3:30 Sunday afternoon. Plus, anytime, you can watch it on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Elsewhere in a city in crisis, during this week's consent decree hearing, BPD revealed a shortage of nearly 500 officers. Fox 45's Vincent Hill explains the challenges that could present itself and how criminals might be taking advantage.
As lives are lost almost daily in Baltimore.
My homegirl's son just got killed, 21 years old.
And drug deals happen in the middle of the day.
This right here is a normal day. Everybody's selling drugs.
Baltimore residents sounding the alarm on the city's police shortage.
No, they need more. They need more.
A sentiment shared by former Baltimore Mayor Sheila Dixon at Thursday night's town hall meeting hosted by Fox 45.
Police officers are supposed to be touching the community every 15, 20 minutes or so.
The Baltimore City Sheriff offering to help by putting his deputies on patrol.
We have a small law enforcement agency that's been untapped in the city, which is the sheriff's office.
But the former mayor says it's not enough to protect and serve the people of Baltimore.
Calling 911, sometimes you get put on hold.
So, how do Baltimore police effectively fight crime with a department that's 489 officers short?
And how can we police effectively? I don't think we're policing at our best when you are short-staffed.
Law enforcement analyst Joe Ested says they can't.
You're doing exactly what you can with the amount of personnel that they're giving you.
Ested says the shortage has led to officers waiting for backup as residents wait for help.
If it means I have to wait on the outskirts for my arriving officer to get there to 15, 20 minutes later, that's what you got to do.
Something Baltimore residents say they've seen firsthand.
They wait till they call back up and then some of them come out because I done seen it happen.
As police response times seem to be going up.
I'm being told now it's go anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 minutes.
Ested says crime in Baltimore will only do the same.
The criminal element is not stupid to the fact that it's taking us longer to respond. So with that said, they have the advantage of continually doing their criminal acts.
A man racks up hundreds of dollars on his water bill. Baltimore City and 2 private plumbers say it's not his fault. Why the city is refusing to take accountability, though.
Well, we're starting off with some showers here, moving through the area, and more rain on the way for us later this afternoon. We'll talk about how long this wet weather sticks around and if it's going to impact your entire weekend.
Happening now, a man continues to question his $1,800 water bill from Baltimore City 2 weeks after we first brought you his story.
They just told me go fix a leak. So I said, I don't have any leaks. Here's the plumbing reports. How are you going to make me fix a leak that I don't have any of? It's not my use.
Now, after our relentless reporting, the city sent someone to check his property for leaks. Fox 45 Jeff Abel explained what they found and why the homeowner still is not satisfied.
This is where your water comes in.
Outside Akiva Kent's Pikesville home this morning, city crews were inspecting the water line and confirming what he already knew.
And lo and behold, I got the paper from this morning. We did everything. You have no leaks. You have no water line leaks. Hello, I know that already.
Kent panicked last August when his water bill, which normally hovers around $40 a month, had jumped to more than $300. And the sky-high bills kept coming, topping almost $1,800 over the next 6 months.
$1,800 is like a lot of money for me. Oh, you have a water leak. Unless you fix it, it's your fault. Go pay the bill.
You should have a trickle, then it should stop.
So Kent hired not one, but 2 private plumbing companies who inspected every water line and water source in the home, and both came to the same conclusion. There are no leaks. One company noted there must be a malfunction with the city's water meter, but the findings made little difference to the city.
They don't want to listen to anything.
So after 6 months of an exhaustive attempt to prove that the city had issued faulty water bills, there are no leaks. However, inspectors failed to sign the report.
They didn't say anything. I asked them, what are you going to do about my bill? We'll get back to you.
The Department of Public Works did get back to him. In an email, DPW officials insisted the city's meter was properly working and suggested that Kent had unknowingly used an excessive amount of water, writing it may be as simple as turning off a water hose or running a toilet. Nevertheless, you will receive an adjustment.
I'm feeling very frustrated.
For Akiva Kent, it's a hollow victory. His 6-month fight has left him drowning in frustration.
For me, experiencing this, I think that the best thing that could happen to DPW is to get privatized, okay, and not be a part of Baltimore city government.
Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Now, the water billing issues is just the latest in a series of problems involving DPW. A group of residents filed 2 lawsuits against the department, arguing that scaling back biweekly recycling pickup is a violation of the city's own code. And according to the Maryland Department of Environment, Baltimore City has violated federal law by not warning the public within 24 hours of September's E. coli outbreak in the water supply. Police say they need your help with their investigation. The latest on the search for a person Baltimore police say may be connected to the murder at a Stotts Tower subway station. And journalists facing dangers on foreign soil. What the U.S. is doing to try to bring an American journalist home from a Russian prison. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Governors of 7 states have moved to ban the sale of new gasoline-powered cars by 2035. It is an ambitious goal that faces a number of challenges. Spotlight on America's Chris Daniels takes us to Washington State, a place that may be on the front lines of this change.
If you squint long enough looking through the sagebrush in this field, you can simultaneously see a new frontier amidst the Old West. Brandon Burgess,
if you want to pop your hood,
sits on the edge of it as the owner of the Old McBride's on State Highway 171 in Moses Lake, Washington.
The business, however, was established on this spot in May 1941.
Now called Affordable Auto Services.
We're one of the last full-service gas stations around.
Would you consider yourself like a mom and pop's station?
Yeah. I mean, we're family-owned, family-operated. My wife works. We got my son that works during the summer.
His family business in the heart of the city is facing a clock with a stated Washington state goal to phase out the sale of new petroleum-powered cars by 2035.
The problem with electric cars is not that people won't buy them. It's we can't produce enough of them right now.
Washington's Governor Jay Inslee has joined other states across the country in publicly calling for a ban in 12 years. But the National Alliance for Automotive Innovation says electric vehicle infrastructure is lagging, with significant fast charging gaps across the country, and the amount of current EVs per charger well above recommended ratios. The AAI president told Spotlight on America, "We're just not adding public charging in this country nearly fast enough to keep up with sales projections."
Do you think it's truly attainable to phase out gasoline-powered cars by 2035?
Absolutely. It's not going to be easy, but I think it's possible.
Rick Luby has a few reasons to be optimistic.
Think about the smartphone. Can you imagine not owning a smartphone? The first iPhone just came out 15 years ago. And so I think that's the kind of transformation and that kind of acceleration of adoption that we can see with EVs as we improve the performance, as we alleviate charge anxiety.
He's the CEO of Woodinville-based Group 14, which was recently awarded a $100 million federal grant to plant some seeds in that field and build a commercial-scale factory to produce powder for silicon batteries, capable, he says, of powering 200,000 EVs a year and faster than current models.
It enables a completely different level of performance in the battery, 50% more energy density, which means 50% more range. You know, if you can charge your car in 5 or 10 minutes, maybe you don't even need that much range, so you get a smaller battery pack.
Back in Moses Lake, Brandon may be at the literal crossroads with his view of the future and connection to the past.
You're like somewhere in between there.
We're going to have to adapt and to figure out a way to service both.
2035, do you think that's an attainable goal?
To say 2035, no more gas vehicles or no more gas vehicles to be sold, we got a long way to go, I think.
He wonders if the grid in such a small town will also be able to handle the demands.
That's what we pride ourselves in, is taking the additional time to do the job right the first time.
Which is why, at least from his vantage point, there will continue to be room for high tech, plus mom and pop too. For Spotlight on America, I'm Chris Daniels.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says he's doing everything in his power to bring an American journalist home from a Russian prison. The Biden administration is designating Evan Gershwin as wrongfully detained. He was arrested in Russia late last month, and charged with espionage. Garland says his arrest underscores the dangers of journalists on foreign soil.
This kind of case just shows how important freedom of the press is in all countries around the world. In our country, but even more so in countries that are making it increasingly difficult and dangerous for the free press to operate and to report what is actually happening in that country.
A top Russian diplomat says Moscow might be willing to discuss a prisoner swap, but not until after legal proceedings have taken place. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Justin Chambers for a look at your weekend forecast. Foggy morning we're starting off with.
Yeah, exactly right, Taylor. We're seeing some of the showers that are moving through at this time, and definitely those low clouds, muggy conditions. Right now, the right side of your screen, we always have those temperatures posted for you, even on the weekends and during commercial breaks, with a lot of us in the 60s this hour. Can barely see the Towson traffic circle down there. Definitely seeing those low clouds and temperatures that are in the mid-60s, officially 64 in Towson. Not much in the way of wind that we're seeing at this time, but when you see the dew point and the air temperature temperature pretty close, that means we typically have almost 100% humidity. And that's what we're seeing. Even some light showers right through Baltimore City, out into Columbia, out kind of south of the 70 corridor, moving from south to north right now. A few other showers for you up in Perryville in the northeast section of our viewing area. And overall, to the north of us, heading up to York, PA today, you are going to see more of those heavier rain showers. Basically, that's the same rain that we saw move right up the 95 over the last couple of hours or earlier this morning. But overall, the kind of the larger picture, we're not seeing a lot that is actually developing right now. It's going to take a few more hours for things to start to get going. And you can see that here on our hourly future scan. We may actually get some breaks in the cloud cover later today. Our temperatures are still going to be warm. Now, if that happens, and we get some of the sun to heat up the ground, that's going to get the atmosphere a little bit more active, and we could see a couple of pop-up thunderstorms with that being said. This is noon on our hourly future scan. Notice we stayed dry. Even in that 2 o'clock hour, still looking dry at this time. As you get to about 3, 4, 5 p.m., that's when we're expecting our next round of showers and possible thunderstorms to roll through. This is the very updated weather model we have here. And then through about 7, 8 o'clock tonight, a couple of scattered showers and a few pop-up thunderstorms as well. May see some of those storms get a little bit strong later today, so we'll keep our eyes on that, but no weather alert necessary for right now. Golfers, yeah, it's a little bit soggy out there on the golf course. Just make sure to watch out for some of those showers and storms developing later into the afternoon, and temperatures into the 60s and 70s. Better day to play is going to be tomorrow, because you're going to see these temperatures today in the low to mid and upper 70s, but we keep the cloud cover and those rain showers around, keeping those 70s for you in Howard and Anne Arundel counties, but we do have some more sunshine on the way tomorrow. This is the larger picture on our future scan. There's that system moving through our next weather maker, clearing out tonight. Tomorrow we are expecting warmer temperatures and more sunshine through the day, and then tomorrow evening into early Monday morning, another weather maker is going to roll through. That's going to be that stronger cold front. So overnight hours is when we'll see our best chance for our next round of showers and thunderstorms. We'll wake up a little bit wet on Monday morning, but drying out on Monday afternoon and through the middle part of next week. Notice how much cooler we are. We'll be in the 80s tomorrow, but right back to about only 70 on Monday and only mid-60s for Tuesday afternoon. Taylor?
All right, up next in Sports Unlimited, we'll introduce you to the multi-sport athlete taking home the prize of Prep Player of the Week. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local. Okay, one Bel Air lacrosse junior filled the stat sheet with 7 goals in a single game. And while it's something he's done before, it's impressive to say the least. And for that performance, he's Fox 45's Prep Player of the Week.
The reason why we're here is to present our Prep Player of the Week award to Devin Trezak's 7-goal game against Northeast High School. I mean, that's an unbelievable performance, and you guys, each and every one of you, you're a huge part of that. For that, Devin, you're our Prep Player of the Week. Congratulations, my man.
I was like feeling lightheaded, and I was running. I was like, this is not going to be good. And then just from the start, it was just all the shots clicking. And it was just feeling really good for me and my team.
You know, we only have 2 hours a day in practice, and honestly, it's Devin when he goes home and on the weekends and in the off season. Devin puts in the hard work, and that paid off against Northeast Anne Arundel.
Devin's hard work speaks for itself, from game-winning kicks to 7-goal games. But the multi-sport athlete admits he couldn't have done it without his guys.
Our offense runs around all 6 people on offense, so I mean, if somebody's dropping a pass, that's going to affect everything. It's just like the movement, and if we were just connecting passes, so we were just getting it around super fast, super quick, and that's how I got my looks.
Devin is the recipient because, honestly, you know, he can score at any time. He can score inside, he can score outside, he can create his own shot, but also he's good at getting open when his teammates need him to be open, and he hits the big shots when he needs to.
While the junior attackman isn't committed anywhere just yet, he has plenty of time to figure it all out.
Trying to play lacrosse in college because, I mean, I love lacrosse. I'd be playing it all the time, and I sure do want to play in college. Just giving it time this summer. Hopefully this fall I can commit, find a school for me.
His hard work and his ability to make plays and be the guy on the field is going to create success in college for sure. He's going to go wherever he is, he needs to go, and he's going to be extremely successful.
Prep Player of the Week is provided by Allegram, your trusted source for awards.
A 16-year-old shot, takes himself to the hospital, then dies from his injuries. Fox 45 is taking a closer look at yet another teenage victim here in Baltimore City. And lawmakers taking action. The legislative session moves in Annapolis designed to help your children in the classroom.
Starting off a little bit wet for your weekend, but it's not going to be a complete washout. We'll talk about some warmer numbers on the way and what we can expect next week.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
8 o'clock now. Thanks for being with us. You're looking live over Towson. It's a little bit foggy and muggy, but we'll get to that. Thanks for being with us this Saturday, April 15th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right on over to your forecast. We've got meteorologist Justin Chambers in with us on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Good morning. That was a yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, you're starting off, you get some of the cloud cover, you get the rain, and then, you know, the hair. Let's just forget about that today because it's going to be all frizzy no matter what. We've got all sorts of humidity that's out there, but nice to see the rain that rolled through over the last couple of hours. We definitely need that rain as we have been so dry, especially good for growing season here. Take a look at our HD radar. A couple of light showers north of Chestertown up toward Elkton into parts of Cecil County. A few light showers right around Baltimore City out through Catonsville at this hour, but not really tracking much in actual rain. In fact, when you look at your HD radar, the heaviest rain has already moved to the north of us. That was round 1 in the late night hours and early this morning, but we'll see more of that rain develop later today. And our temperatures are still pretty mild. Look at these numbers, low to mid 60s. You add in that humidity and it definitely feels kind of muggy outside. High temps today will be a little bit cooler than the last few days, but you can see it. You're out and about cast for your weekend next couple of hours, mainly in the mid to upper 60s. On our way to the lower 70s, may see some breaks in the clouds with that sun popping through later today, and then that will help to initiate a few more of those thunderstorms by the afternoon. We'll take a closer look at that in just a few minutes from right now. Taylor?
All righty. In a city in crisis, Fox 45 News continues to press city leaders on Baltimore's relentless violence. Now, 16 people have been killed this month. That's more than a murder each day. 8 people were killed in the last week alone. That includes a 25-year-old just after midnight in East Baltimore on Friday. We're also learning more about a 16-year-old who was shot and killed Monday near Mondawmin Mall. Fox 45's Keith Daniels has been following that story. He joins us with an update.
Police say his name is Cameron Murphy, a teen, school age. But a spokesperson with Baltimore City Public Schools says Murphy has not been enrolled in city schools since August 2022. School officials did not say what grade he was or what school he attended. Murphy gunned down Monday on Longwood Street near Mondawmin Avenue. A neighbor heard gunshots, then saw 2 males running by her home. Another one walking behind, believed to be Murphy, who spoke.
Yes, one said, I've been hit. He had his hand here. So I don't know, he was walking up, so it had to be on this side. Yes, he had his hand here.
Police responded to a hospital where they say Murphy was a walk-in shooting victim. He was pronounced dead later. Murphy is among the 8 people killed this week. Baltimore police say there have been 78 homicides so far in the city this year, compared to 95 at this time last year. That's nearly an 18% decrease between this point in time in 2022 versus 2023. The numbers, police say, trending in the right direction, but still on par with previous years when over 300 residents were killed. And for some residents,
nowadays, these kids got more guns than the adults that can legally get them.
That decrease in the number of homicides is little comfort, especially when more and more gun violence across the city involves juveniles as victims and suspects. Some people in the city this week, in front of our mic, stepped up and spoke out. One resident aimed at parents as a source of the problem.
You're failing your child, and you're doing a disservice to the citizens of Baltimore City as a result of you failing your child. Because your child feel like they can go out here and do what they want with no consequences.
The frustration over gun crimes also spilling into City Hall this week, where Councilman Robert Stokes called on all area law enforcement agencies to work together to help curb the violence.
I'm a council person, but I live in the city. I want to be safe like everybody else.
Now, after the city has seen a number of violent incidents this month, many residents are feeling a little pessimistic about crime here in Baltimore. On Monday, Mayor Brandon Scott will deliver his State of the City address. Fox 45 News spoke with residents ahead of this address, and many are feeling hopeful with the current state of Baltimore. Take a listen to some of their concerns.
The state of Baltimore is a state of emergency right now.
Nothing in this city is being accomplished. It's falling apart.
The kids feel at this point there's no consequences.
We got kids killing kids out here like they fighting in a war.
Now, as you just heard, residents have many concerns from the ongoing violence to city leadership. We also asked residents to give the city a grade. Their responses were pretty telling.
I give the city an F.
I give you guys an F. The whole administration for this whole city is an F.
Joining us live this morning to preview the mayor's State of the City address, former Baltimore mayoral candidate Bob Wallace. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing great. But, you know, there's going to be a lot that the mayor is going to have to address on Monday. Obviously,
Yes.
part of that will have to be crime. Now, the city has tried to spin crime as being down this year from last year and that their initiatives are working. But we do want to mention that they're comparing it to last year. Last January, it was the worst January on record in terms of crime. So if you take that month out, we are still on par with all the previous 8 years we've seen over the homicide. So can you talk about how he may address this issue, particularly with crime, with that speech he has on Monday?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a tendency to cherry pick data, right? You know, pick the data that fits your story, right? I think that would be a big mistake for the mayor to make. You know, I'm reminded of a experience I had during the campaign, Taylor, when I was walking through the neighborhoods in 2019, 2020. At the height of the pandemic, by the way, meeting people, trying to understand what are the concerns and fears. And one of the things that stuck with me was the level of hopelessness and helplessness that people felt. And they felt that nobody is paying attention to them and no one is listening. I think these are the people that the mayor needs to speak to when he gives his State of the City address. He needs to let them know, I'm the mayor, I own this situation, I own this moment, right? He needs to let them know that he feels their pain and their anguish. I mean, you heard it in the interviews that you showed. The people of the city are in pain. They're traumatized. He needs to let them know, I feel your pain and I am with you. Next, he needs to admit that we're in a crisis situation. The city is in a crisis. You hear it in the voices of the people. The mayor needs to acknowledge that and let people know I have a plan. The plan, a comprehensive plan on public safety and prevention. We've got to provide our young people a means of jobs. I talked about it when I ran for mayor, the need for economic inclusion and economic equity. And we need to provide our young people safe zones, safe places where they can go and they can share ideas and they can be young people. And then he needs to be committed to the people. Say, look, I know we're in a difficult situation, but I need your help. I need your ideas. And that's a level of humility that the mayor needs to exhibit to the people. Hey, look, I need your help. I need your ideas. I agree with him that the solutions, Taylor, will be ones that involve the entire community. And that is necessary for everyone in the committee. This is an all hands on deck moment in our city, and we need to come together and implement these plans and make our city a better place.
Speaking of the entire community being involved in this, we know the businesses that were in the Inner Harbor, they were shut down after those large crowds were there 2 times in the same week. Students, young people, 14, 16-year-olds shot. How should the mayor respond to this with respect to not only the victims and the crowds, but the businesses that are looking at this and going, wow, this may be my summer situation where I have to close down every night?
Absolutely. Well, as a business owner, as I think you know, I have an IT firm and an energy firm that does like large-scale solar EV charging systems, data analytics. We moved our business from Columbia 20 years ago, right, to downtown Baltimore. So I am living this. We have to deal now with homelessness, deal with our employees being carjacked in broad daylight, deal with my apartment being broken into. There are a lot of people like myself, Taylor, who have a lot of goodwill and who love the city and who want to see it be successful. But that goodwill only goes so far. And so the mayor needs to convince the business people that I hear you, I feel you, and I have a plan to address the issues to keep you in the city. The fact of the matter is that many of us do not have to physically be in the city. The pandemic taught us that we could run our businesses anywhere on the planet. The mayor needs to recognize that and reassure the business community that he has our back.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Wallace, for providing that insight ahead of this, the address, and really letting us get into some of the issues that are plaguing you and many city residents here in the city. Thank you so much for your insight this morning.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
All right. City State's Attorney Ivan Bates is looking to enforce low-level crime, but his plan to put offenders on the right path, well, we'll tell you if it's going to actually help reduce the violence.
Couple of light sprinkles here to get you going on your Saturday, but we've got more rain on the way and warmer temperatures back for the second half of the weekend. Going to break it all down for you coming up on Fox 45 Morning News.
Turning now to counties under pressure. In Western Maryland, a Garrett County man arrested for allegedly building a bomb. 53-year-old Christopher Bietzel's fingerprints were found on an improvised explosive device earlier this month. Now, the bomb squad removed an IED from property in Accident, Maryland. Now, their investigation led them to Bietzel's home, where police say they found more explosives. He's facing multiple charges and being held at this point without bond. Project Baltimore reporting on failing schools. Education is getting results. The actions lawmakers are taking to hold Maryland schools accountable. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Maryland lawmakers are taking action after a series of Project Baltimore reports exposed low math scores in many Baltimore City and Baltimore County schools. Chris Pabst reports on what state lawmakers are doing to try to improve math proficiencies.
Delegates Kathy Schlega.
We need to demand better.
And Ryan Naraki.
We have a big problem.
Both represent Baltimore County.
With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 200, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
And they say in the final days of this year's Maryland legislative session, Annapolis took significant action to hold public schools accountable.
I do see it as a win, and I see it as a win for students, for parents.
We need to have some accountability that will make sure that our schools across the state are succeeding and not failing children.
Baltimore City is facing a devastating reality.
Schlega and Naraki were watching in February when Project Baltimore analyzed state test scores and found 23 Baltimore City schools had 0 students among those who took the state tests last year score proficient in math. 10 high schools, 8 elementary schools, 3 middle high schools, and 2 elementary middle schools.
So seeing 23 failing schools in Baltimore City with 0 kids proficient in math was horrifying.
We also reported on another 7 schools in Baltimore County that had 0 students test proficient in math last year, which included big high schools like Chesapeake and Pikesville.
We are beyond the point of kind of just talking about doing things. We actually need to do things now at this point.
After seeing those Fox 45 reports on math proficiencies, Naraki and Schlega wrote these letters to Baltimore County Public Schools and state education leaders asking for specific plans to improve math scores and also asking how persistently underperforming schools will be held accountable. The delegates say the answers were not good enough.
We can't just keep hearing, oh, we're going to get better. Oh, we're doing these lofty things. But in the end, if students don't achieve better, what will happen to the school?
So Naraki and Schlega, both Republicans, reached out to Delegate Ben Barnes, a Democrat from Prince George's County.
This legislature is now in session.
Who chairs the Appropriations Committee. Together, the 3 lawmakers added language into the state's budget, demanding that the Maryland State Department of Education address math scores, not just in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, but throughout all of Maryland. Math proficiencies statewide for 3rd through 8th graders are down 11% from 2019 to 2022.
House Bill 200, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
This is the language in the budget that passed last week. It mandates that MSDE submit a report by July 1st, outlining the state's plan to address math proficiency. The language says, it is the intent of the General Assembly that the plan be implemented in the 2023-2024 school year and include specific accountability measures that would be put into effect should individual local education agencies or individual schools fail to improve math proficiency scores within 2 academic years. If MSDE fails to comply with this measure, it stands to lose $50,000 in funding.
$50,000 in a $63 billion budget. It's not that much.
Sure, it's not a big dollar figure. However, I think what it is about is the fact that it's 188 legislators, the House and the Senate, saying we want to see a plan on this.
It just brings the weight of we want an answer. You know, we're not just asking nicely. We're telling you that we need to see this information.
Delegate Barnes told Project Baltimore in a statement, we all share the goal of math proficiency and want the department to focus on this. Declines in test scores and overall student achievement is a national trend that Maryland is addressing head on.
So it's a win for anyone that wants to make sure that kids aren't doomed to failing schools, frankly. That carries a lot of weight when it's the entire legislature saying this is unacceptable.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
It is 8:20 on your Saturday morning. I'm meteorologist Justin Chambers in for Amy this morning, and looking out over the top of the Transamerica building, well, you can't see much. We are definitely socked in, so we're talking about IMC conditions for you pilots here today. Hopefully we'll get some MVFR a little bit later this afternoon, get some of those clouds to roll out, maybe get a quick flight in the traffic pattern. So 64 your temperature right now at BWI. Speaking of the airport, east wind about 6 to 10 miles an hour. Notice the dew point is at 63 degrees. So when the dew point and the air temperature are close, which you see right there, that's typical when we have foggy conditions, and that is relevant there with that 94% humidity that we're seeing at this time. This is our HD radar. A couple of light showers here and there, mainly just a few sprinkles there between Baltimore out through Essex and Middle River on kind of the eastern edge of the Beltway. Also a few showers for you up north of Aberdeen, moving over toward Columbia and out toward Highland, down to the south in Severn and Odenton as well. Most of the heavier rain has moved through, and that moved through about 3 or 4 hours ago in the overnight hours. So we're definitely waking up with wet roads and all of the foggy conditions out there. We've got a very warm and moisture-rich atmosphere going on. That's the warm front that we are in right now, and the colder air is well to the west of us. So we're going to have today, and we'll be a little cooler with the clouds, but tomorrow we're going to warm right back up before those colder temperatures start to work in next week. This is a look at our hourly future scan. Actually, some of the models are starting to move some of those clouds out of here, so we might get some pockets of sunshine here through the middle part of the day and into the early afternoon, but then more of that rain is going to develop. And that 4 and 5 o'clock hour, you can actually see more of those showers and the potential for some thunderstorms as well, especially if we get that ground to heat up. That's going to help to fire some of those storms. But basically between about 5 and 8 p.m. is going to be the prime time for seeing some of those showers and storms before they move out of here Sunday or Saturday night, and then Sunday is going to be drier. Hank the Bird, good morning to you. Yeah, he's happy to see some of the clouds around and also the wet conditions, because the rain is definitely helping with as dry as we've been. And we're only going to be in the low to mid 70s for most of us for the afternoon. Typically mid 60s this time of year, so still above average, but not those 80s that we've seen for the last couple of days. Now, 80s come right back tomorrow. We'll see showers late on Sunday. We're talking after most of us go to bed into early Monday morning. So tomorrow will be dry, but definitely cooler. Monday, only a high of about 70 and mid 60s on Tuesday before those numbers start to rise again later into the middle of the week and toward the end of the week as well.
A costly culture war is brewing. I'm Janae Bowens in Washington. I'll tell you how much Bud Light could be losing over backlash from the company's new partnership with a trans influencer.
The parent company of Budweiser lost at least $5 billion in value following their endorsement of transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Conservatives are boycotting the popular beer company and creating alternatives in response. Janae Bowens with the National Desk is in Washington with a look at if Bud Light can bounce back from what critics are calling a big blunder.
I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
The backlash boils on over Bud Light's partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney.
Gender dysphoria is a mental health disorder.
Conservatives now see it as an opportunity to not only rebuke what they peg as quote-unquote wokeism, but also a way to profit themselves. Republican presidential contender Vivek Ramaswamy explained his new Bud Light koozies on Fox Friday morning.
Instead of Bud Light, if they're going to make this mistake, we'll get Bud Right.
If you know which bathroom to use, you know what beer you should be drinking.
And Seth Weathers created his own beer company called Conservative Dad's Ultra Right. Bud Light marketing VP Alyssa Heinerscheid is behind the new controversial campaign to help the company move its image in a different direction.
Having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men.
The Daily Wire reports, according to a source, no one at a senior level was aware this was happening. They blame a low-level marketing staffer for the influencer engagement, and they go on to say it was a mistake.
We're seeing a lot of personality and a lot of sort of cult of culture overcoming the desire to actually turn a profit and deliver a product.
The question now is, will this step haunt Bud Light forever?
I think it would behoove Anheuser-Busch to get out in the court of public opinion and further explain what their longer-term strategy is. They have to strike the balance between appealing to their existing customer base and then where they want to go.
The NFL draft is nearly 2 weeks away, and Bud Light is the main sponsor. A lot of eyes will be on the event to see if people boycott over this bubbling controversy. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates detailing his strategy to combat crime, how his office handles low-level crimes in the hopes of preventing offenders from escalating to something more violent. And showers are moving on in through our region, but this is not the end of the rain. Meteorologist Justin Chambers is tracking our next chance for rain this weekend in his full weather authority forecast. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. It is a soggy, foggy Saturday morning here on this April 15th, but you're in the right place because we're going to get you off on the right foot here at Fox 45. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get over to your forecast. Meteorologist Justin Chambers has a look at whatever we're talking about out there. I mean, it just got foggy and rainy, and it's going to stay like that all day?
Yeah, well, off and on showers is what we're talking about today, Taylor, and possibly some thunderstorms later this afternoon, too. Don't be surprised if you hear those rumbles of thunder. Remember what I always say, when thunder roars, head indoors, especially if you want to be outside. Now, right now, a little bit foggy and definitely wet from some of the rain showers that we're still seeing on our HD radar being picked up here just to the west of Baltimore City, down out toward Catonsville on the western edge of the Beltway, down toward Linthicum, up toward the north and to the east around Overly and up into Perry Hall. We're seeing a few more of those light showers at this time. Pull back a little bit farther and actually see a few more showers right there in Elkton, up toward Galena there in parts of the northeast section of our viewing area and down to the south in Severn. So off and on kind of scattered showers right now. Temperatures pretty mild, low to mid 60s is what we're seeing as you step out here on your Saturday. Now, definitely nice to see the rain because we've been so dry, especially for our yards and our gardens. And if you do want to get out and get some of that mulching done today, while we have a break in the rain, temperatures in the low to mid 70s through the afternoon. So definitely cooler than those 80s we had yesterday. But the 80s return tomorrow with more sunshine on Sunday, and then we're cooler next week. We'll take a closer look at that full forecast in just a few minutes.
Right now, I think we're heading the right direction. Would I want to give it an A? I think we're an A-. And I have a lot of text messages from a number of individuals that, quote-unquote, were in the game to say, oh, wow, you changed the game.
Baltimore City State Attorney Ivan Bates expressing optimism about Baltimore's future during Thursday's town hall. He has a plan called the citation docket, a new way to hold criminals accountable. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost moderated that town hall and explained the new tool in Bates' toolbox.
This new citation docket is a way to enforce these lower-level offenses. It's a significant change from the policies of Marilyn Mosby and her administration. And new City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says it's a way to ensure there is accountability while providing the necessary resources to people in need. Baltimore's top prosecutor, Ivan Bates, out with a new plan to address quality-of-life concerns in the city, bringing people in for lower-level offenses to get help.
This is about how can we hold people accountable? How can we deal with quality of life crimes? We're not trying to have mass incarceration. We're not trying to give people records.
Trespassing, loitering, open container violations, all things Bates will be enforcing, utilizing the new district court citation docket. Drug treatment and mental health services will be offered.
Let's also be clear. These individuals who we give the services to, once, maybe twice, if you decide you just don't want the services, you just can't go back and do what you want to do, because eventually we're going to have to prosecute you.
Bates' plan now contrasts Marilyn Mosby's plans when she stopped prosecuting these crimes, making her pandemic-era prosecution policies permanent in March 2021. Doubling down on her move, claiming allowing quality-of-life crimes to go unchecked did not lead to higher crime.
I say follow the data, right? And so what we've been able to prove in the past year is that crime has decreased.
Critics of Mosby's plan have long argued those smaller crimes are directly linked to bigger offenses, often more violent crimes. Bates and new Baltimore City Sheriff Sam Cogan argue early intervention with some of these offenders could help change their path, but that often means interactions with law enforcement.
There are reasons why people are committing some of these crimes, and that's addiction and mental health. And one of the ways to get them treatment is if they're engaged constitutionally by a law enforcement officer and brought in front of the court. And some things like mental health court, that's exactly how you have to access that.
And that sentiment shared by Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger, pushing back on Mosby's plans when she rolled it out.
When you come to court, every judge asks, what is your underlying problem? And particularly in the area of drugs, they're going to ask if you have, obviously, an addiction problem. And then they're going to try to get you the help that you need to cure that problem.
The goal of the citation docket, getting involved with people when they break the law, providing the right services and giving them the chance to move forward with their life. But if those resources are not utilized, Bates makes it clear there will be accountability, all to ensure people are safe in their own communities. Bates says he's looking to have this new citation docket operational later this spring. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
All right, joining us live this morning to weigh in on Bates' new citation docket, Ripsy Morgan, spokesperson for the People for Elected Accountability and Civic Engagement, also known as PEACE. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts on this plan? Just get into that for us for a second.
I think it's a relief. And I think one of the key words that Ivan Bates used during that town hall was accountability. You know, that's really what we've been pushing for. It's not about mass incarceration. It's not about police stopping everybody for every little infraction, but it is about holding people accountable and holding those people who choose not to follow the law accountable. But accountability doesn't necessarily mean incarceration. It means putting them where they need to find the help that they need to move on with their lives. That's what we wanted. And when you talk about the kinds of issues that they're involved in, it's quality of life issues. And every single Baltimorean deserves a great quality of life.
It's a stark contrast to Marilyn Mosby's plan when she stopped prosecuting low-level crimes. She claimed that allowing quality of life crimes to go unchecked did not lead to an increase in more violent crime. Now, critics have argued that these smaller crimes are directly linked to bigger ones. Do you agree with that?
Look, I think the evidence is clear that when Marilyn Mosby allowed this policy to go forward, you know, I used to have a radio show here in Baltimore. It was a midday show. And the number of calls that I received from people who were witnessing open air drug markets in their neighborhoods near their children. They were getting gas and there's an open air drug market right there at the gas station. These kinds of things were going unchecked. And that type of lawlessness was what creates this sense of, you know, you can do whatever you want. This is the wild, wild west. Nobody's going to do anything about it. And so I think to have that issue of accountability back to the forefront, and I applaud Ivan Bates, the state's attorney, for making that distinction very clear that it's about accountability, not mass incarceration. That's what's going to move the city forward.
All right. We'll continue to follow this as it goes forward. Thank you so much, Mr. Ripsy Morgan.
Thank you.
If you would like to watch the town hall in full, you can watch it this weekend. It'll air on the CW tonight at 5 o'clock and then right here on Fox 45, 3:30 Sunday afternoon. Plus, you can watch it anytime on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Journalists facing dangers on foreign soil. Why the U.S. is trying to bring an American journalist home from a Russian prison. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says he's doing everything in his power to bring an American journalist home from a Russian prison. The Biden administration is designating Evan Gershkovich as wrongly detained. He was arrested in Russia late last month and charged with espionage. Garland says his arrest underscores the dangers journalists see on foreign soil.
This kind of case just shows how important freedom of the press is in all countries around the world. In our country, but even more so in countries that are making it increasingly difficult and dangerous for the free press to operate and to report what is actually happening in that country.
A top Russian diplomat says Moscow might be willing to discuss a prisoner swap, but not until after legal proceedings take place. Police say they need your help with their investigation. In our next half hour, the latest on the search for a person Baltimore police say may be connected to the murder at a Shot Tower subway station. The power of sports is on full display in Towson. One superfan's compelling bond with his favorite team in Maryland's moment just ahead. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. The power of sports can be a beautiful thing. Players, coaches, and teams all making an impact on their community. But what about the other way around? In today's Maryland Moment, Morgan Adsit sits down with one Towson superfan who's inspiring athletes on her favorite teams.
3 minutes on you.
One thing is clear with this basketball program.
I appreciate you, dog.
Everyone plays an important role.
Next one, Mariah's favorite, inchworm to Cobra.
Feeling that connection makes everyone feel invested.
Here we go.
Coaches, players, managers, athletic trainers, you name it.
Ready and go.
And it takes them all to build this team.
I see you, Gabby.
That's how Laura Harper leads the Tigers in her first season at Towson.
Last one.
And I think it just buys into the overall championship energy.
No teammate is more important than another.
Ellie!
Well, maybe one.
The first time Ellie came into the gym, she walked in like she owned the place.
She makes me really happy when I do get to see her.
Whether it's practice or game day, her presence fuels her team.
She's just always been like our sunshine during practice. In games, we always hear her. She's always cheering for us.
Nothing does that more than these high fives.
Can I get a double?
But it's great. It just fills you up with joy.
Meet Towson women's basketball superfan, Ellie.
She talks about, the team, the coaches, not just something that she's here and then it's over, on to the next thing. They really have impacted her life.
Ellie does this all from the sideline, unable to play the game she loves.
Even though she can't run as fast as they can or jump up and, score the basket like they can, she, I think, feels it through her body.
The 25-year-old Baltimore County native
You got the ball. Good job, Ellie.
is multi-disabled, nonverbal. Ellie signs and uses an iPad to communicate. None of this predicted to be her life until after birth.
The doctor that delivered Ellie and performed the C-section, she immediately thought that there was a concern.
Once home post-delivery, it didn't take long for Ellie's mother, Karen Smith, to realize that doctor was right.
She wasn't looking at me. We weren't making eye contact. The connection wasn't forming.
Ellie also didn't hit the same milestones her older sister Carly did. Ellie's parents knew then they needed help, answers, and a plan.
I kind of knew in my heart of hearts, and so did my husband, that this was going to be a lifelong situation.
After years of support and care for Ellie, the Smith family leaned into one of Ellie's passions, sports, and her favorite, basketball.
She loves sports and to participate, but she prefers to observe them.
Ellie's love for the game started from watching on TV to joining her uncle's AAU team, which led her to Towson.
I think it was the first or second game that she came to, because she sits behind the bench with a sign typically. I would come out of timeouts, high-five Ellie, see her cheering for us, and I'm like, Ellie, this is what I need, this energy.
A relationship that extends far beyond wins and losses on the court.
She was probably 6 or 7 before she really started smiling. And now that's like the greatest joy. Is like as soon as you walk in and you see Ellie smile, she just, she lights up a room.
It's transformed into something players and coaches get far more out of than Ellie.
Anytime she's in the crowd, we like, nah, now we gotta really whoop the other team, because we gotta make Ellie proud.
She's their inspiration, a constant reminder to have perspective.
There's a level of appreciation and gratitude of life, and just realizing how much joy she's able to have.
She's also bailed out her team a time or two.
Oh my goodness, one time we were in film and I was ripping the team. Like, they were just getting on my last nerves. And I guess Ellie was outside, like literally, and I hear her laughing. And I'm just like, y'all are so lucky Ellie's coming in right now, because I can't be mad anymore.
While no official diagnosis, Ellie is one of 5 people in the world with her genetic makeup.
So they don't know enough to know whether this is actually what caused her disability.
An incredibly difficult life journey for Ellie and her family that comes with challenges. Ellie and her family refuse to let her disabilities dictate life.
And my mom passed away while I was pregnant with Ellie. So I didn't have that support there. So I didn't have a mother to help teach me what it was like to be a mother. So I will say to all of you young moms out there, continue to have faith. Don't ever let anyone put a ceiling on anything. We were given so many ceilings that were so low. She's living proof that she's able to just do so much. I'm so proud of her. Am I proud of you?
Proud of what Ellie's life is today and what it will be tomorrow.
We want her to be as independent as she possibly can and have a community around her, have a community that she loves and that loves her.
Part of that community is with her Towson basketball family.
Bingo! And if we can play as free as Ellie lives her life, you just feel like we can do anything.
The Tigers' year ended in March as conference champions and in the first round of the WNIT. So now they wait.
Oh yeah, it's Ellie's gym.
For next season.
She knows her chair's gonna be over here.
And Towson.
Together!
I'm Morgan Adsit.
Alrighty, nice story from Morgan there. Let's get over to meteorologist Justin Chambers with a look at the fog, I guess, that's behind you. I don't even know what we're looking at, Justin. Where are we looking?
Well, this is the top of the Transamerica Tower. To give you some perspective, you can see some of the radio communication antennas up there, and definitely some rain that's actually on the camera. This is our Toyota Inner Harbor Skycam right now, and yeah, we are socked in with those low clouds and kind of the mist that is falling right now. So even if it's not raining on your radar when you pop open that FOX45 mobile weather app, you're definitely going to get wet when you step outside over the next few hours. And 64 your current temperature, very mild conditions at this time. Ahoy, boaters and watermen. Well, not the best day to be out there on the water, but the good news is the wind is not going to be much of an issue, at least through about noon. Watch later this afternoon. We are going to be tracking the few showers and potential for a couple of pop-up thunderstorms, so that water could definitely get rough. But boaters and watermen, if you do have to get out over the next couple of hours, know it's just going to be a bit foggy as well. So that visibility not only reduced for pilots flying through the air, but also for folks on the boats trying to see what's out there in front of them. Here's a look at our HD radar. Again, not a lot of green here, so we're just tracking a few light showers in Baltimore City up and toward the Towson region. Also out toward the eastern shore, a couple of light showers, and really the heaviest rain is well to the north and to the west of us. More rain is expected to develop as we get later into the afternoon, but you look at your HD radar and there's really not much coming here, so we're actually going to have a drying period as we get in through the middle part of the day today. Let me show you that on our future scan. So this takes us through about noon. Notice some of those clouds actually starting to part a little bit, so we could get some pockets of sun trying to break through. That is also going to help to warm up the ground, and if that happens, gives us a better chance for some thunderstorms as we head toward the afternoon. But about 2, 3 o'clock, still staying mainly dry. We're looking at about 4, 5 p.m. That's going to be the line of showers and the potential storms that will roll through. And again, if we get any of that daytime heating, these storms could become strong at times. So just watch for that between about 5 and 8 o'clock this afternoon, evening. Whatever you're doing outside, just know that some of those storms could be there. And obviously, as I say, when thunder roars, you got to head indoors, you and the kids for sure. All right, so temperatures in the mid-60s this hour as we take you through noon. We'll keep the clouds around, but temps in the lower 70s, and we're going to be in the 70s for the afternoon, mid-70s. So definitely about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday with that cloud cover and those off and on showers we're dealing with here today. You can see Carroll, Baltimore counties mainly in the low to mid 70s for you. Harford and Cecil counties, 72 in Bel Air, 74 in Aberdeen, mid 70s for Elkton over toward Chesapeake City as well. And even on the eastern shore, we're talking about low to mid 70s for your highs later today. Now, here's a look at our future scan, kind of the larger picture. This area of low pressure moving off to the north and to the east. On the back side of that will actually clear out. So tomorrow, look at this. We're going to see plenty of sunshine and warmer temperatures for your Sunday night into Monday morning. This is going to be when a lot of us go to bed. That's the next weather maker rolling through. And that's going to be a cold front, which is going to drop our temperatures next week. But again, Sunday does stay dry and warmer. We're only to about 70 on Monday, and then mid-60s Tuesday. Definitely going to feel the cooler air and that wind sticking around for the early part of next week.
And after the break, where you can go today to check out one of the largest alpaca shows in the world. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. All right, let's take a look at some of the events happening today in our region. We've got, starting at 9 o'clock this morning, the Mid-Atlantic Alpaca Association. They're going to host their Jubilee and Alpaca Gala. It's one of the largest alpaca shows in the country, and you can check it out at the Carroll County Agricultural Center. Admission is free, and it's open to the public. Well, if you're looking for a career change, though, the Department of Public Works, they're hosting a job fair at the Chick Webb Recreation Center on North Eden Street from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Towson University's Tiger Horn will take place. It's a dance marathon benefiting Johns Hopkins Children's Center. And now it's time for America's Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
If you're like me and everybody in your house is on a health journey, this Counto digital scale is really going to help you maintain a healthy lifestyle. I did a lot of research and I'm so excited about this. I'm going to show you what you get when you bring it home. But it is a digital scale and it gives you 12 different body measurements, not just your weight, because our weight really fluctuates. So this is going to give you more information, like you'll get your BMI, your bone index, and your basal metabolic rate. And if you're a new mom, it's really cool because there's a baby growth setting and you can put it in baby mode. And if you're an athlete, like I have a lot of muscle men in my house, you can also measure your muscle mass. I don't like getting on a scale. I do not, but knowledge is power, and this gives me so much information. It's really been a game changer with my health along that journey. This pairs with any smartphone, so you can take all of that data on this scale, and it's going to be on your app. Now, let me tell you how this works. The science is a little bit much. The scale can measure all these things. All you got to do, you step on it. It uses bioelectrical impedance, which measures how easily an electrical signal can move throughout your body. I know it's a lot, but that signal is going to move faster through muscle, so it can help you track what's muscle and what's fat. This is such a great deal and a cool product. Right now, we're offering 38% off the Counto scale. Head over to asadeals.com for this exclusive offer.
A 16-year-old shot and takes himself to the hospital. He later dies from his injuries. FOX45 takes a look at another teenage victim here in Baltimore City. And are there enough officers to keep the city safe? The concerns over Baltimore's staffing shortage and how it could impact our new youth safety plan.
We've started off with some rain showers, even getting a couple of those sprinkles around right now. We'll talk about how long this rain stays with us and if this weekend is going to be a washout.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. That's a live look over Towson if you can't tell because of the fog and the muggy conditions. Thanks for being with us this Saturday, April 15th. I am Taylor Stewart. Let's get over to your forecast. Meteorologist Justin Chambers. Are we expecting this all weekend?
Well, that's the question, Taylor, isn't it? Yeah, we're right in the middle of April today. Tax day, but we know that's actually next week because it's a Saturday, but it is April 15th. Always one of those days you think about, right? And yeah, you can barely see the Towson traffic circle down there, those low clouds hanging around and even some misty conditions on our HD radar. Not really a lot being picked up in terms of those green blobs, but you'll definitely get a little bit of mist as you're making your way outside, and temperatures that remain very mild at this time. Most of us are hanging out in the 60s statewide too. It's cooler in Oakland at 54, but 63 in Hagerstown, mid-60s for Bel Air and Baltimore City, down through Annapolis at 64 for right now. Weather story looks like this: a muggy morning, off and on showers for the afternoon, and we are tracking the potential for a couple of thunderstorms. Could get that atmosphere a little bit more active, and some of those storms could be in that strong to severe category later today. So we'll keep our eyes on that. No weather alert for today, but just know you could see some of those storms develop. Temps today in the low to mid 70s, so not the 80s that we've seen for the last couple of days. However, those numbers are still well above average for this time of year. We're back with your full forecast. We'll do that in just a few minutes from right now.
In a city in crisis, Fox 45 News continues to press city leaders on Baltimore's relentless violence. 16 people have been killed this month. That is more than one murder each day. 8 people were killed in the past week alone. That includes a 25-year-old who was killed just after midnight in East Baltimore on Friday. We're learning more about that 16-year-old who was also killed Monday near Mondawmin Mall. Fox 45 Keith Daniels has been following that story. He has the update.
Police say his name is Cameron Murphy, a teen, school age. But a spokesperson with Baltimore City Public Schools says Murphy has not been enrolled in city schools since August 2022. School officials did not say what grade he was or what school he attended. Murphy gunned down Monday on Longwood Street near Mondawmin Avenue. A neighbor heard gunshots, then saw 2 males running by her home. Another one walking behind, believed to be Murphy, who spoke.
Yes, one said, I've been hit. He had his hand here. So I don't know, he was walking up, so it had to be on this side. Yes, he had his hand here.
Police responded to a hospital where they say Murphy was a walk-in shooting victim. He was pronounced dead later. Murphy is among the 8 people killed this week. Baltimore police say there have been 78 homicides so far in the city this year, compared to 95 at this time last year. That's nearly an 18% decrease between this point in time in 2022 versus 2023. The numbers, police say, trending in the right direction, but still on par with previous years when over 300 residents were killed. And for some residents,
nowadays, these kids got more guns than the adults that can legally get them.
That decrease in the number of homicides is little comfort, especially when more and more gun violence across the city involves juveniles as victims and suspects. Some people in the city this week, in front of our mic, stepped up and spoke out. One resident aimed at parents as a source of the problem.
You're failing your child, and you're doing a disservice to the citizens of Baltimore City as a result of you failing your child. Because your child feel like they can go out here and do what they want with no consequences.
The frustration over gun crimes also spilling into City Hall this week, where Councilman Robert Stokes called on all area law enforcement agencies to work together to help curb the violence.
I'm a council person, but I live in the city. I want to be safe like everybody else.
All right, Baltimore police are sharing this picture of a person possibly connected to a man's death at a Shot Tower subway station this past week. Police are not calling him a suspect or a person of interest, but they say they need your help finding him. 28-year-old Christopher Foster was pushed off the platform and onto the subway track on Wednesday. He was electrocuted when he hit the third rail. His mother is now demanding accountability for his death.
I was so angry that someone played God with my son's life. I want to see that person be caught and be accountable for his actions. I want to see him pay for what he did.
Take another look. This is the person police are trying to find. We've shared this image on our website, FOX45.com. It's also on our social media platforms for you to share at Fox Baltimore. As crime remains a top concern in the city, the number of police officers, it's shrinking. Despite recruitment and retention efforts, the department is nearly 500 officers short. Rebecca Pryor spoke to law enforcement, and she spoke about this mass exodus. Take a listen.
As crime continues to touch nearly every corner of the city, on Wednesday, a federal judge overseeing police reform in Baltimore calling the city's officer shortage a crisis. Despite increasing salaries to the highest in the state and boosting a slew of benefits, the department's vacancies dropping from 400 officers short to nearly 500 officers short over the last 8 months.
We can make sure we have good recruitment incentives, good retention incentives. And we have those. What we have to do is also make sure we have good working conditions.
According to Commissioner Michael Harrison, that includes retrofitting police stations, enhancing crime-fighting technologies, and putting officers in new cars. All improvements former Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson says miss the mark.
I think the biggest thing that's plaguing the recruitment effort in Baltimore is really the actions of the public officials themselves, failing to support the men and women of law enforcement.
According to Johnson, from the actions of city to state leaders, those pledging to protect our streets feel under attack. Last year, Maryland lawmakers stripping away officers' Bill of Rights, setting stricter rules for how police are investigated and disciplined, a measure then Governor Larry Hogan vetoed but was eventually overruled. And although she's no longer in office, Johnson says many officers still scarred by the 8-year tenure of former city state's attorney Marilyn Mosby, who reached national prominence for pursuing criminal charges against police.
It's going to be a very difficult and painful legacy for law enforcement in Baltimore to get beyond.
They are not pro-police.
Law enforcement expert Maury Richards agrees, saying the support officers are in search of isn't financial. And while a shortage of officers is a problem plaguing departments across the nation,
I've studied departments, big departments all across the country. And I would say Baltimore, in terms of shortage and in terms of morale, is about at the bottom of the country.
And so it has got to be turned around, or we really are going to run into a crisis, and it's not too far off.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Now, Mayor Brandon Scott says Baltimore will resume enforcing a youth curfew after 2 teens were shot Sunday near the Inner Harbor. Now, less than 4 days earlier, hundreds of young people gathered at the Inner Harbor. During spring break, a couple of businesses had to close, and police patrolled the area to try to keep order. Well, some police experts say the task of enforcing a curfew, it could further strain the department that's already stretched thin.
And how can we police effectively? I don't think we're policing at our best when you are short-staffed. The criminal element is not stupid to the fact that it's taking us longer to respond. So with that said, they have the advantage of continually doing their criminal acts.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you believe a curfew will help reduce juvenile crime in Baltimore? So far, 97% of voters say no. You can weigh in right now at foxbaltimore.com/vote. A man racks up hundreds of dollars on his water bill, and 2 private plumbers say it is not his fault. Why the city's refusing to take accountability.
We're definitely foggy this morning, and some of us seeing a few of those misty conditions right now. We'll talk about how much rain we're expected to see later today and what we can expect for the rest of the weekend. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News. Don't go anywhere.
Turning now to counties under pressure. In western Maryland, a Garrett County man arrested for allegedly building a bomb. 53-year-old Christopher Betzel's fingerprints were found on an improv explosive device. Now, earlier this month, the bomb squad removed an IED from property in Accident, Maryland. Their investigation then led them to Betzel's home, where police say they found more explosives. He's facing multiple charges and being held without bond. The church says it's not allowed to reveal the redacted names in that 500-page report, but the Attorney General claims he never told them that. The controversy of the Archdiocese's sex abuse case continues. And up next, a massive drug ring uncovered in Baltimore. The efforts to track down an elusive member in today's Maryland's Most Wanted. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. They call themselves the 1800 Boys, a gang police say sold deadly drugs and carried out acts of violence, including murder, right here in the city. This morning, the search is on for one of the members. Alexa Ashwell has this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say this gang operated an open-air drug market out of South Baltimore. This past winter, 9 members were indicted, including this man, Jawan Jordan. But the 28-year-old has yet to be found. And now investigators need your help tracking him down. 6'4", weighing approximately 225 pounds. Investigators do believe he's still likely in the Baltimore region. So if you have any information regarding his whereabouts, the tip line number right here, 1-877-WANTED-2. Or you can contact agents directly. This number, 202-819-5058. Remember, you can always remain anonymous, and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
Well, it is Saturday morning in the 9 o'clock hour now. Fog has lifted just a bit, at least from this shot here in Towson, but we still have some of those low clouds hanging around and still a couple of scattered showers we're going to have to get through over the next few hours and especially later this afternoon. That's when our next round of actual more moderate rain is going to be possible and even the potential for some thunderstorms. Now, with the cloud cover right now, temperatures in the mid-60s, so we definitely cap that atmosphere and we keep the clouds around. That will be a good thing. If those clouds break up and we actually see some more sun come through to heat up the ground, that could give us more of the fuel needed for some of those thunderstorms to develop later this afternoon. But on our HD radar, those showers are continuing to kind of move out of here. So we're really not seeing a lot of green out there. Even if you're getting some mist right now, we're not seeing much in the way of actual radar returns, at least on this map here. More of the heavier rain is to the north and to the west of us, out toward Cumberland, even toward Altoona, PA, and up near York, PA as well. And back down toward the south, really not dealing with much either along the east coast at this time. So here's here's a look at our hourly future scan. Notice what happens as we stop the clock right about noon today. You can see some pockets there where we may get that sun to break out. It's going to be warm and muggy because our temperatures, even though we're not in the 80s, we're still going to stay above average for the afternoon. Taking you through about 2 p.m., still looking mainly dry. About 3, 4 o'clock is when things start to fire up again. Now the latest model runs want to bring these showers after about 5 p.m. So now it's looking between about 5, 6, 7 o'clock, even into the 8 o'clock hour tonight. And we'll have the best chance for that line of showers and possible thunderstorms. Then all of that pushes out of here in the overnight hours. So we're drier back behind that and into tomorrow. Not the best day on the greens, golfers, because we had the rain overnight and probably a little squishy out there. And then you have to deal with some of those potential thunderstorms later this afternoon. So just be aware and maybe just do tomorrow or play tomorrow. Get out there when those temperatures will be nice and more drier conditions will be with us. Mid-60s is typically where we are. Most of us in the low to mid-70s across the central Maryland region and up and down the 95 corridor, even 78 in D.C. Not bad down the ocean. 65 there today and 74 in Cumberland. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Numbers stay in the 70s today. We get right back to the lower 80s tomorrow. We are seeing showers late. We're talking Sunday night into early Monday morning. So Sunday is going to be a dry day and warmer, but then Monday will be quite a bit cooler. Wind is going to be with us as well. We only get to about 70 on Monday afternoon and only mid-60s Tuesday before those numbers start going back up toward the end of next week.
Making headlines this morning, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown disagrees with a statement from the Baltimore Archdiocese about that 500-page report on child sex abuse. The Archdiocese claims the AG's office asked them to keep those 10 names of the surviving members in that report redacted, according to a court order, they say. But Brown says that statement is misleading. He says the Archdiocese is free to release those redacted names at any time. Brown says the Archdiocese has had full access to the report since November. And this comes less than 2 weeks after Brown's scathing comments over a cover-up within the Archdiocese.
What was consistent throughout the stories was the absolute authority and power these abusive priests and the church leadership held over survivors, their families, and their communities. It's also a history of repeated cover-up of that abuse by the Catholic Church hierarchy.
The full AG report, including more than 600 counts of abuse. You can read it right now at foxbaltimore.com.
Older workers are unretiring at record rates. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C., while some employers are seeing age as an asset.
Topping your consumer news, retail sales took a turn for the worse last month. That's according to new data from the Commerce Department, which saw retail sales drop 1% from February. It's a sharp decline compared to the 0.2% drop we saw in going into February. Now, the slump is mostly attributed to nearly 2 years of high inflation, as well as the Federal Reserve's campaign to crush pressure with a series of interest rate hikes. Analysts say higher gas prices will be back soon for several reasons. OPEC has announced a production cut of about 1.6 million barrels a day, making for a shorter supply. Oil refineries are also performing routine spring maintenance, which also cuts down on production. And the approaching summer driving season will increase demand and raise prices. The national average gas price rose 8 cents last week to $3.60 a gallon. In the meantime, retirees are taking advantage of the tight labor market and returning to the workforce at record rates. Angela Brown with the National Desk explains that the demand for older workers has never been higher.
The number goes up, it goes down, but for right now, it remains high. Around 9.9 million jobs open. Companies can't find enough workers to fill positions. Now, older workers are stepping in. More employers seeing age as an asset in the workforce.
Workers 65 plus are the fastest growing segment of the workforce.
The numbers off the charts. Employment of workers 65 and older has grown by 117% in the past 20 years, and what many are now calling the great unretirement.
The market is going to stay hot. There aren't enough younger people to take the jobs.
But many older workers are unretiring because they have to. This Resume Builder survey found 1 in 5 retirees are likely to return to work this year, with 69% unretiring to combat the rising cost of living. Fulfillment also a factor.
Just as much, it's often that people just have something, they like, I still have stuff to give. I have, experience and skills that are valuable, and I want to use them to help this company or this mission.
Beyond experience, older workers may bring something else to employers.
And they're saying, I understand boomers and Gen Xers. I don't understand younger millennials and Gen Z.
A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that compared to young adults, people 65 and older are more likely to value hard work by 14 percentage points.
And so what that does is that also diminishes age discrimination as a factor in hiring, because you're like, wait a minute, I kind of like people over 55. So it really levels the playing field in a lot of ways. I think it's very positive for all parties.
Working past 65 may actually become the norm. Some Republican lawmakers are eyeing raising the retirement age to 70 for Social Security. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Now, more seniors may be returning to the workforce, but the Senior Citizens League says America's seniors are likely to get smaller cost of living increases to their Social Security checks in 2024. The smaller adjustments come as inflation begins to cool off, but the group says the cost of living increases may add up to only about 3% of adjustments. Those are based on Consumer Price Index and wage earner information from 2023. Now, cost of living adjustments were 8.7%, the highest increase in 40 years. We are starting off muggy on your Saturday morning, but how long will this dreary weather stick around? Meteorologist Justin Chambers will break it down for us in his full Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us on this, I don't know, it's kind of foggy, kind of rainy, but it's going to be a good Saturday for us here, April 15th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right on over to your forecast because that's what we need to know. Meteorologist Justin Chambers with an update on all that fog.
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to see more of those showers that will develop, especially as we head later into the afternoon and evening. Could even pick up some thunderstorm activity as well. You can see those low clouds right now here in Towson. Rain has let up a bit. In fact, on our HD radar, we're not seeing much in the way of actual rain. Maybe a little bit of mist out there for you. Nice to see the rain with as dry as we've been. This is going to help our very dry and drought-like situation that we've had around here for the last couple of days. Now, temperatures are still mild. A lot of us are in the low to mid 60s for Rosedale, Essex, Middle River out through Dundalk, 64 in Brooklyn Park and Woodlawn, 62 your temp in Owings Mills right now. So as you head out the door here, grab that jacket, the rain jacket and the umbrella. Maybe the sunglasses a little bit later today, but overall going to be a cloudy one for sure. And we'll have more of that sunshine on the way for tomorrow. But great news for your yards and gardens, getting some water from Mother Nature. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s on your yard and gardening cast for the afternoon. We're back with your full forecast. We'll talk about when that rain moves out of here and what we can expect to wrap up our weekend coming up in a few.
All right, happening now, a man is continuing to question his $1,800 water bill for Baltimore City. Now, 2 weeks after Fox 45 first brought you his story, take a listen.
They just told me go fix a leak. So I said, I don't have any leaks. Here's the plumbing reports. How are you going to make me fix a leak that I don't have any of? It's not my use.
After our relentless reporting, the city sent someone to check out his property for leaks. Fox 45's Jeff Abel explains what they found and why the homeowner says he is still not satisfied.
This is where your water comes in.
Outside Akiva Kent's Pikesville home this morning, city crews were inspecting the water line and confirming what he already knew.
And lo and behold, I got the paper from this morning. We did everything. You have no leaks. You have no water line leaks. Hello, I know that already.
Kent panicked last August when his water bill, which normally hovers around $40 a month, had jumped to more than $300. And the sky-high bills kept coming, topping almost $1,800 over the next 6 months.
$1,800 is like a lot of money for me. Oh, you have a water leak. Unless you fix it, it's your fault. Go pay the bill.
You should have a trickle, then it should stop.
So Kent hired not one, but 2 private plumbing companies who inspected every water line and water source in the home, and both came to the same conclusion. There are no leaks. One company noted there must be a malfunction with the city's water meter, but the findings made little difference to the city.
They don't want to listen to anything.
So after 6 months of an exhaustive attempt to prove that the city had issued faulty water bills, there are no leaks. However, inspectors failed to sign the report.
They didn't say anything. I asked them, what are you going to do about my bill? We'll get back to you.
The Department of Public Works did get back to him. In an email, DPW officials insisted the city's meter was properly working and suggested that Kent had unknowingly used an excessive amount of water, writing it may be as simple as turning off a water hose or running a toilet. Nevertheless, you will receive an adjustment.
I'm feeling very frustrated.
For Akiva Kent, it's a hollow victory. His 6-month fight has left him drowning in frustration.
For me, experiencing this, I think that the best thing that could happen to DPW is to get privatized, okay, and not be a part of Baltimore city government.
Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
In a city in crisis, 16 people have been killed this month. That is more than a murder each day. 8 people killed in the last week alone. That includes a 25-year-old who was killed last night, midnight, in East Baltimore. Many residents are feeling pessimistic about crime here in Baltimore. And on Monday, Mayor Brent Scott will deliver his State of the City address. Fox 45 News, we spoke with residents ahead of the address, and many are feeling hopeful that the current state of Baltimore is going to get better, but take a listen to some of their concerns.
The state of Baltimore is a state of emergency right now.
Nothing in this city is being accomplished. It's falling apart. The kids feel at this point there's no consequences.
We got kids killing kids out here like they fighting in a war.
Now, as you just heard, residents have many concerns from the ongoing violence to leadership, and we asked residents to give the city a grade. Their responses were telling.
I give this city an F.
I give you guys an F. The whole administration for this whole city is an F.
Now, crime remains a top concern for city residents, but others are wondering if economic issues could ultimately lead the city to decline. Joining us this morning to discuss, Anban Basu, a local economist with the Sage Policy Group. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let's talk about the economy. What are you seeing in terms of how crime is affecting the city? Is there anything to be optimistic about?
Oh, there are things to be optimistic about. There's no question about that. We have a refurbished arena, and the reviews are pretty good on the refurbishment. It has already hosted the likes of the Eagles and Bruce Springsteen. We have a new Top Golf near the casino and M&T Bank Stadium. We have a new Lexington Market. The Orioles are good this year, or at least very, very interesting this year. And then, of course, we have the daily soap opera that is the Baltimore Ravens, which I like to refer to as One Lamar to Live. But in any case, there's some reasons for optimism. But your question about crime, obviously, we see the numbers for April. We had some progress earlier this year. If you look through April 14th, we had 81 homicides in the city. That's a lot. But if you extrapolate that pace, we would have less than 300 homicides this year. Now, we've got to get through summer, obviously, and the rest of the year. But there's reason for optimism.
Okay. So on the other hand, though, there are business owners in downtown who have had to close their doors early multiple times because we saw that large crowd of kids gather down there. Shootings broke out from that, fights broke out from that, and it's only getting warmer. We can only expect more young people to gather outside. What do you think the message needs to be to the business owners downtown who are saying, hey, what can I do?
Well, that's fair, because much of the historic central business district feels like a ghost town. It's been de-amenitized. Obviously, much of that office space is now vacant. The population actually declined downtown during the most recent year for which we have data. Indeed, the city's population is now below 570,000, according to the most recent Census Bureau data. So there are also reasons for pessimism. So what do we need to do? We need to, as a city, improve our value proposition. We need not to have an F grade from these citizens. So we need to have less crime, better schools, and yes, lower taxes. You can't have the highest tax rate in Maryland, the most crime, and the most problematic schools, and expect people to live and stay and work and visit the city. It doesn't work. It's not a good recipe. And so the city is in steady decline. The mayor needs to talk about how to reverse that decline.
And just curious, what do you think he should be speaking? I mean, if he's speaking directly to business owners and he's framing this message, how should he frame it to really make sure that their concerns are heard?
He should suggest that we're going to change. We're not going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same horrible results, that we actually understand that business is important, that job creation is important, that bringing new industries to the city is important, and that we respect business, that we're going to do something about the high tax rates. We're going to try to revive the historic central business district along with the rest of the city. That's what the message should be. We're going to change the city government. We're not going to do things the same way. I've not yet heard that message.
And we will be looking out for that message as well. There are just so many things that we're expecting him to tackle on Monday, and hopefully some of the aspects that you mentioned are top of mind for him. Thank you so much, Anban Basu. We appreciate you. With the Sage Policy Group, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, after the break, where you can see the country's biggest, get this, alpaca show. Yeah, it's in our region, where you can bust a move and raise money for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center as well. We'll tell you about the events happening today.
Statewide, our temperatures are mild this morning, even though we have a lot of that cloud cover, the fog hanging around. More rain on the way for us by the afternoon. We'll break it down in your hour-by-hour forecast coming up.
Coming up this week on Full Measure, the status of Asians in American society is the source of growing debate, with other minorities rejecting their minority status based in large part on their success in work and education. We explore the fascinating controversy over a top high school that scrapped merit-based admissions to reduce the Asian-dominant student body and make way for more blacks and Hispanics. A flaming debate has been ignited under the Biden administration over whether gas stoves should be banned due to environmental concerns. But is the debate really about science? And Russia's war with Ukraine is far from the quick skirmish so many predicted now in year 2. We'll get an inside look at training for American Green Berets in the North Carolina woods and how that impacts events on the other side of the globe. That's this week on Full Measure.
All right, now let's take a look at some of the events that are happening in our region today. Well, starting at 9 o'clock, well, just already started. The Mid-Atlantic Alpaca Association, they're hosting their Jubilee and Alpaca Gala. It's the largest alpaca show in the country, and you can check it out at the Carroll County Agricultural Center. Admission is free and open to the public. And if you're looking for a career change, the Department of Public Works is holding a job fair at the Chick Webb Recreation Center on North Eden Street. That goes from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Towson University's Tiger-thon will take place. It is a dance marathon. The benefits all go to Johns Hopkins Children's Center. Coachella weekend is here. Why the Desert Concert isn't the only music festival making headlines this week. And spring has sprung, and that means it's time for some spring cleaning. Up next, the makeup products you can get rid of to declutter your vanity. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Okay, spring is here, and if you have the urge to do some spring cleaning, do not forget about those beauty products. Esthetician and makeup artist Kristen Floyd, the owner of OCB Spa, helping us figure out what we should keep and what we should toss. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing good. So let's get into this. All of the beauty products that we have on our vanity, what is the most important to make sure we're replacing on a regular basis?
So I notice a lot of people using things that are just meant to be disposable, meaning like one-time use and toss, using all the time. These little sponges, people are guilty of using these over and over. And think about that. You're putting that bacteria back on your face and back on your skin. One-time use, toss. Maybe if you wash it really good, you can get a second use out of it. And then also particularly mascaras, eyeliners, cream and liquid eyeliners and mascaras, 3 to 6 months toss. And especially if you've been ill or if you've had any sort of, eye reaction or cold, flu, anything, toss it immediately, because then again, you're transferring that bacteria back to your eye. Pencil liners can last longer. You want to sharpen them before and after each use to help keep them clean.
Okay. Wow, I didn't even think about it that way. Okay, so what about the essential foundation and makeup brushes and all that good stuff?
Those things can give you a longer shelf life, right? So like foundation can be a year plus, maybe even 2, which works for some people like myself who are fairer and we need a paler shade in the winter and a slightly darker one in the summer. You can blend the two so you don't have to worry about blowing through that foundation. Also, brushes can really last you forever. Makeup brushes joke that we have like thumbprints in our favorite brushes. So they just need proper care. You really should be spritzing them with a little brush sanitizer spray after every use, in between every use, and then using a brush shampoo to cleanse them deeply once a week.
That's definitely an important investment. I definitely made that investment earlier this year, game-changing. What products have the longest shelf life, though?
I would say powders. So powders, any type. So eyeshadows, blushes, foundation powders, those things can be 2+ years. Also lipsticks as well. But again, that's keeping in mind if you're keeping it sanitary, right? If there's any change in consistency, any change in odor, specifically lipstick can get a really rancid odor if it's not okay. So if you're keeping things clean, if your brushes are clean, your applications are clean, and you're not getting any cross transfer in that powder, you can have it last up to 2 years. And there are makeup sanitizing sprays. Sephora has this little cleanup one. Cinema Sacreds has a makeup sanitizing spray. So if you're spritzing your powders and then letting that dry before you close it, because you don't want to have any wetness live in that container. So if you spritz them, after you're done and you're getting rid of any bacteria, those can give you a long shelf life.
Okay. All right. So if you have any specials coming up at the OCV spa, anything you can tell us?
Yeah, we've always got fun stuff going on. So we have more lessons coming up, virtual lessons, makeup lessons. You can have one-on-one in person, but we're trying to offer it to people who maybe don't want to come and have to the spa or have like a reduced price. It's a little quicker. It's virtual, and we also have gua sha classes where we teach you how to do the gua sha massage one-on-one in the class, and then also face yoga coming up too.
Face yoga, I love that.
I know.
Yoga for your face. Thank you so much, Kristen. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Justin Chambers with a look at the forecast. Any face yoga for you today?
Did you say face yoga?
That's what we just said. Yeah, face yoga.
Like stretching out, like. How do you do a downward dog with your face?
I'll work on that while you work on the forecast.
All right. Good morning to all of you. Happy Saturday. Happy to be here in for Amy this morning. Our weather headlines, well, got a lot of that cloud cover that's hanging around. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, kind of a muggy morning. We're going to be back to the mid 70s this afternoon, so cooler than yesterday, but the off and on showers is what we're tracking here, and the potential for a few thunderstorms as well, especially as we get later into the afternoon. So boaters and watermen out on your captain's cast, well, not too bad right now. Obviously, visibility is kind of low and the wind is calm. We're only talking about waves about a foot or less, and lower 70s through about the noon hour. High tide coming at 3:29 this morning there. We've already had low tide this morning at Fort McHenry. And then a few showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible later today. So that's when things get a little bit choppier. Definitely watch for that forecast before you head out. We know we're getting closer to boating season. Tomorrow should be a great day to be out there on your boats or your yachts. Our HD radar looking pretty good right now. In fact, not really tracking much in the way of actual rainfall. A few showers out in Hagerstown up toward Chambersburg, PA, and overall up and down the 95 corridor looking pretty good and dry at this time. Now, still some kind of mist hanging around in some areas. That warm air is in place. That's what that warm front represents. And what we're going to see is the continuation of those muggy and warm conditions throughout the afternoon. Notice on our hourly future scan through about noon today, we may actually get some breaks in the cloud cover. That could help to heat up the ground. But what that will also do is get that atmosphere a little bit more unstable. And that gives us a better chance for thunderstorms in the later part of the afternoon. But this is 2 o'clock and still looking pretty good. Maybe a scattered stray pop-up shower or storm after about 5 p.m. Notice that thing on the left side of your screen. That's going to be rolling through and developing between about 5 and 8. So that's going to be the timing, the best chance to see more of those widespread showers and pop-up thunderstorms. All of that pushes out of here as we get into the overnight hours and into tomorrow with drier conditions ahead for your Sunday. So hanging out there at Fed Hill. Next hour, we'll be in the mid 60s and temperatures on our way to the low and mid 70s as we head toward the afternoon. As I mentioned, about 5, 6 p.m. is when we'll have a better chance of more of those showers and storms later today as well. But overall, Carroll, Baltimore counties, you're going to see those above average temperatures by some 10 degrees with low to mid 70s across the board for your highs today. Even with the cloud cover, Howard and Arundel counties also hanging on in the 70s for this afternoon. So here's that 7-day forecast. 75 today, lower 80s tomorrow. Again, more sunshine tomorrow. Another round of rain late Sunday night into Monday, but that's not going to really impact us because we'll be sleeping when most of that rain rolls through. And then we're drier and cooler next week.
All right. Remember, you can track severe storms even when we're not here on air by downloading that free FOX45 Weather Authority app. Just go to your app store, search WBFF to get started. All right, trending now. It's the first of 2 days of the Weekend Coachella Valley Festival. It's going to have concerts planned for the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, very cool.
DC.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego.
Redwood City, Bay Area, that's where we're coming from.
We always drive up on day 0. We always meet up here, get our last minute stuff, and then drive in together and let the party begin.
We're seeing vendors come in from out of town. We're seeing people who are working the festival, people who are attending the festival. They're all passing through already.
Music fans from all over the world spotted with campers on Thursday heading toward the polo fields out there in California, preparation for the big event.
Now, big names in music are expected to headline Coachella this year, including artists like Bad Bunny, Frank Ocean, awesome, Blackpink. The festival is going to wrap up on April 23rd.
That's right, 2 different weekends for Coachella. I lived out in the Palm Springs area, that's where it is, and I never went to Coachella, but that was like when it was first started. That was years ago.
I'm surprised you haven't been.
I know, I like music. Yeah, now Absolute, I like vodka. Absolute is the official vodka of Coachella. It's actually fostering connections on the music festival's grounds as well as virtually in the metaverse.
Okay, well, the vodka brand has partnered with Hey Vina, also known as the Tinder for girl friendships. Festival goers can meet new friends on the platform and later meet up with them in real life as well as in the metaverse.
I don't understand what all that video was right there.
That was
Is that metaverse stuff?
I think it's metaversing.
All right.
We're getting old.
All right. Another music festival making headlines this week, and that's the Fire Festival, if you want to talk about fake stuff.
Yeah, remember those viral images from the event back in 2017? Cheese sandwiches on styrofoam containers, people in the Bahamas just stranded. Well, there's another one coming.
Yeah, Billy McFarland, the organizer of the first failed festival, he's trying again. He announced on Twitter, Fire Festival 2 is finally happening. Tell me why you should be invited. That's what he said on Twitter.
Okay, McFarland was released from prison, though, just last March after serving part of that 6-year sentence for wire fraud charges in connection with this very event. There's no word, though, on where Fire Festival 2 will take place.
You know, there was another one that happened, it was a couple months ago, something in the Bahamas or something, and it was similar to that, where people were expecting all these artists to come and then nothing happened. So I don't know what is going on with all that.
I don't know if I'd go to any Billy McFarland hosted. I'd give it a break.
Stay away from that. All right, coming up in a few minutes, I am going to have your 10-day forecast. It says 7-day, but Amy's not here, so you know what? I'm going to do the 10-day.
All right.